What's going on, brothers? What's going on? It is your dude, Mr. International Passport, here again for a future classic live stream. First and foremost, press a one in the live stream chat if you can hear me loud and clear. Mayday, Mayday, check 1 2, check 1 2. Houston, do we have a problem? How's the audio, brothers? Press a one in the live stream chat, whether you're watching on Twitter, Rumble, YouTube, Kick, Twitch. You press one in the live stream chat. You let me know, brothers. You let me know right now if the audio is clean, crisp, and concise. Shout out to Delwyn, Justin, and Baseball Clips for confirming that the audio is clean, crisp, and concise. Okay, so let's get straight into it, brothers. Let's get straight into it, man. So we're here, brothers, for a future classic live stream. Want to say a huge shout out to all the brothers that support the channel over the past couple of years. Your support is greatly appreciated. Welcome aboard the new people. I accept and I embrace you with open arms. Okay, so a couple important notices I got to speak on before we go into the meat of things. So, brothers, as you know, Python course coming next month. Okay, and there'll be details on that coming very, very soon. Brother, I hear background noise in your side, brother. If you can sort that out, please, for me, brother, that'd be great. So, brothers, as I was saying, Python course coming. Okay, coming next week. More details coming in the next coming days. Book your IT consultations with me for IT guidance and IT tips for you to break into IT. Join the Patreon, okay, for intel on stocks, crypto, finances, and traveling, and of course, support the channel by hitting the super chats and PayPal donations. Cop the merch too. Get you a shirt. Get you a hoodie. But definitely make sure, brothers. Definitely make sure you join that Patreon, man, because we're speaking about stocks, crypto, the whole 9 yards. It's going to be a big year, okay, and IT as well, okay, and the IT intel is coming very, very soon. The Python course is coming very, very soon. I'm looking forward to teaching you, brothers, okay? So let's get straight into it. I got a very special guest here today called the Domestic Foreigner. How you doing, bro?
How you doing, sir? How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. I love that name, the Domestic Foreigner.
Thanks a lot, man. I didn't come up with it. A manager I work with called me that because I would tell him stories at work about traveling or give him advice prior to travel. And yeah.
Awesome, bro. So, Mr. Domestic Foreigner, do you mind giving us a brief intro about who you are, where you're from, anything interesting about you, bro?
Okay, well, I'm from New Jersey originally. I lived approximately 14 years abroad in Central Asia, Western Europe, the Balkans. Used to do some military contracting, Kosovo, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Uzbekistan. So I've been around a little bit, lived and worked abroad for an extended period of time.
Brother, did you say Afghanistan?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. How long were you in Afghanistan for, bro?
Approximately 1 year.
I mean, I know it's a long time ago, but I think we should do a stream about your time there, during that 1 year, the good, the bad, the
Well,
craziness.
I don't think that show would be very interesting. Only because I spent it on a military base working as a contract civilian. So yeah, so we didn't really get to leave the base, even though the base was rather large. So there was no dating, there was no nightlife, other than what was available on the base.
Oh man, bro, I wanted to ask you the most important question in the history of mankind in regards to Afghanistan, but
Mhm.
well, if you get my gist, brother, our Afghanistan woman chicken for brothers, but you wouldn't know that, bro.
No, because we typically didn't see any unless they were injured and coming on base for medical treatment. So
Okay.
that's pretty much the only time we saw females. Otherwise, no, not at all.
Okay, brother. So great intro there, brother. So let's get straight into the meat of things, brother. So you
Okay.
are probably the only brother I know that has spent a decade in Germany, bro. Okay, you saw
Mhm.
the good, the bad, the ugly. You experienced it as a black man, as a Western black man. So we're gonna get into the meat of things, brother, and of course the woman also. So can I ask, brother, right, how you found yourself in Germany in the first place?
I met a young German woman, I believe in 1992. I know I'm dating myself, and we started dating. We got serious, and we would always have this discussion about where was it better to live. Now she's German, I'm American. I'd never been to Germany at that point, And we kind of just got tired of arguing, and I had to kind of shut my mouth, so to speak, because I had never been to her country. So she said, come over and visit. If you like it, we can think about, moving over there. So I did. So I took a vacation. Um, I was there for approximately 2 weeks, but after the first couple of days, I decided I want to stay and I want to get a job. How do I do it? What's the best way? Unfortunately, you have the issue of work permission and the visa to live there. So the question then became, how do I stay in this country? And it took me a couple of days, and then suddenly I got an idea. I'm in Germany physically, but if in fact I go to an embassy or a consulate, I'm on U.S. grounds under U.S. law, maybe I can get a job there. And that's what helped me get to Germany, because my first job was working for the Embassy Association schools in the provincial capital at the time, which was Bonn, Germany. So, yeah, that's what got me over there. No visa, no nothing needed. I worked, and that's where it all started.
Amazing, bro. Amazing. Bro, you mentioned that you met a German woman. Was that in America?
Yes, I was in New Jersey, South Jersey.
Damn. So these German chicks have been checking for brothers since the 90s, bro.
Well, I'll say this. The first experience I had with a German female was as a teenager in high school. We were friends, of course, so the relationship was completely platonic. But I was kind of fascinated with the language. I was also fascinated with the culture to a certain degree. And I wanted to know more. So as we became friends, I learned a little bit about Germany. My interest grew. And then when I got to college, I was on the International Business Administration track. And it was mandatory to take a foreign language. I chose German at that point, but I had no idea or any intent in living in Germany long term. It just so happened that I met a German girl. We decided to travel. I liked it enough that I wanted to stay.
Wow, incredible, bro, incredible. So now you eventually, but so the German woman that you met in America, right?
Mhm.
Did you cold approach her? Did she cold approach you? Or
Well, the situation in high school, it was a fellow student. So we had some of the same classes. Everybody knew she was there because, that was one of the only German students we had as part of an exchange program. Um, but later on, the woman that I wound up moving to Germany with, we actually dated. I didn't cold approach. I was introduced to her by a mutual friend, and it just went on from there.
wow. So, brother, now you moved to Germany with her, brother. Okay. Um, and how did you get there? Was it via military, I'm guessing?
No, no. Like I said, I went on a vacation, found a job as a substitute teacher for the Embassy Association School in Bonn, Germany, which was under the U.S. Embassy, under the U.S. government, State Department, I believe. Um, and that was it. And I moved over. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of preparation prior to, because the girl I was going with was actually going to be a student. We had to get an apartment, we had to get a car, and so on and so forth.
Wow, incredible, bro, incredible. So now, brother, right? I want to ask this, bro. Okay, so you're now in Germany, okay,
Mhm.
and tell me the black man's experience. Tell me, you know, the difference of cultures between Germany and America. How about we start from there, bro?
Well, the cultures are pretty well, I'd say this. It was culture shock initially. And it wasn't so much of German culture per se, because there's several different types of people living in Germany. Like, for example, my first apartment was in Cologne in a section called Nippes. And to one side, it was a Turkish neighborhood. To the other side, it was Greek. And I was in the middle, which was German. And we're talking within maybe a 50-yard radius that you can go back and forth between neighborhoods. So you kind of had that aspect of it, like the multicultural aspect of it. But in general, the German culture, it was a bit difficult in the beginning because they're very organized. They have a lot of rules. It's a lot of laws. They're very reserved. Most people you speak to might say Germans are actually cold, but they're just reserved people. They're not really super outgoing, at least not in my experience. Although you do run into that from time to time. Um, the biggest difficulty was the language, because although I had it in university for a couple of semesters, I did not have a working knowledge of the language. So that means I really couldn't communicate. And anybody who's experienced that should know, when that happens, it feels like you're a small child before they can talk. I mean, I couldn't read, I couldn't write very well. So it was really, there was a lot of difficulty communicating with those that didn't speak English or chose not to. Now, I was lucky I was in Cologne because there was a lot of international travel through Cologne. That was basically the Hollywood of Germany at the time. It has, I believe, 2 state-owned TV stations and at least 1 commercial TV station, and the video station were all based there. So there was a lot of actors, a lot of festivals, and so on. So people spoke English, especially if they were under 30. And it's mandatory for college prep track in high school, or as they say, gymnasium. So the language was the most difficult part. Now, in terms of interaction, most people were curious as to why an American's living here, because a lot of them want to visit the US or they go on an exchange program. But I didn't really have many negative experiences, and that's what kept me there for so long, because the living there was easy, especially after a few years and I learned how to speak the language. It was easy pretty much to do anything, get a cell phone, do business at one point, and I enjoyed it very much, which is, again, why I stayed there for over a decade.
Wow, incredible, bro, incredible, brother. Over a decade is a long time, brother. So there must have been something that was good that kept you in Germany for 10 years, brother. So how about we start with the good part, brother? Right.
The good part, the good part with the crime was a lot lower. I mean, I landed in Germany when I moved there. I landed December 5th, 1994, and I stayed. In the States, it was, especially on the Northeast coast, it was pretty rough depending on the area you were living. I was living in West Philadelphia prior to moving to Germany, and that was pretty rough. But when I got to Germany, it was just, you didn't have to watch your back as much. You can go to the park and sit down and have a beer. The people were relatively friendly. There was a lot of festivals. There was a lot of different countries you can travel through in a short period of time. I mean, in Cologne, I was maybe 45 minutes from the Dutch border. So by train or bus or by car. So it was just easy. Everything was easy, user-friendly.
Wow, incredible, brother, incredible. So, brother, were you in Bonn for the whole 10 years? Or
I just worked in Bonn. I just worked in Bonn. But I was actually living in a part of Cologne called Nippes. So living in Cologne, working in Bonn. And then on the weekends, when it got a little bit too much and I needed a break and I wanted to speak English to someone, I scoot over to the Netherlands or Belgium, where a lot of people spoke English, where they played American movies in the English language with the subtitles, because everything in Germany was dubbed. So that's pretty much what I did in the very beginning, at least for the first couple of years.
Awesome, bro. So, brother, were you living in Cologne for the whole 10 years?
No, I did 5 in Cologne, and then it's kind of strange. I had a friend that was in the military. Through a telephone call back home, I found out he wasn't too far away, so I looked up his number on First Perscom and called him. And he told me, "Hey, what are you doing up there? You can make more money down here." And he was in the Mannheim, Heidelberg area, so that's where I went. Applied for a job, got it, and I started defense contracting.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. So now, brother, right? So you're a black man in 10 years in Germany. In those 10 years, how were you treated as a Western American black man, brother? Tell us the black experience there.
To be honest, I'll say it like this. I didn't have any major problems. I enjoyed it. People were friendly. People were open. I mean, once you broke the ice with them, if they were interested in you, you became friends. If they weren't, they left you alone. It didn't bother you. There weren't many instances where, I would get into a shouting match or a fight or a racial slur. It was never really like that, because the people are more reserved. Germany's a pretty rich country. The people are well educated in a general sense. So you're not going to get some of the same things. Now, yes, you can go to a bad area and have a bad experience. Yeah. I mean, a couple of times I went somewhere and I was kind of like, I didn't really feel comfortable or safe, but it had nothing to do with race. It had to do with the activity that was going on in that particular area, which was known for crime. But other than that, nothing, man. Nothing. Everything was The people were really nice. I mean, that's why I stayed there. That's part of the reason why I stayed there for so long, because the people were just, like I said, once they broke the ice and you became friends, that was it. The only problem was they would really want you to come visit them. You get to know somebody and they're like, hey, how come you're not coming this week? And once you know 4 or 5, 6 people, you can't go to everybody's house every week.
Wow.
That was a bit of a problem. But like I said, they were open once you broke the ice. And I try to be humble and respectful and learn about the culture in any country I live in. And since I was there so long, I eventually got to the point where I could speak the language well enough that the people really didn't know where I was from, or they thought I was maybe born abroad but raised here or there, I should say. Um, yeah, so.
Wow. Flipping heck, bro. So, okay. Whoa. Wow, brother. So 10 years of okay, tell me tell sorry. Let me get my words together, brother. Okay. So,
Mhm.
brother, would you say that Germany is a black man's true home, brother?
It can be. It can be if you're willing to be open, especially if you're willing to learn the language. I'm going to be honest with you, and I really don't want to say it, but I'll say it anyway. For a long time, I would say for a number of years, I was kind of bitter while living there because I was getting treated better there than I was in the U.S. as a person,
Oh,
and that's just my experience. Yeah. It's just my personal experience. I'm not going to say it with everyone it's like that, but with me, I kept meeting people and I kept having experiences, and I'm going, why is it easier here and I'm not from here? Um, why do the people judge me based on my behavior more so than anything else, to include race? And that
so
kind
you
of, yeah,
no, you go.
no, and that kind of bothered me. So, so when I would get, let's say, family or friends saying, when are you coming back? And I'd say, I'm not. I'm not coming back. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And by the way, while I was contracting, there were a lot of, no disrespect, but old timers, guys that had been in the military and gotten a European out. And what that means is when they ETS or when they leave the military, when their contract is completed, they can opt to stay in Europe and possibly get a government service job, or they can get employment with the U.S. military, or I guess the State Department while they're there, especially since they already have a clearance and everything. So some of them can opt to stay. And I know guys that were there 30 years, 40 years, African American. And they told me to my face, I'm not leaving. I got a house here. I have a family here. I have friends here. Some of them have actually had businesses there. And they had no intent on going back.
Whoa, brother. So, but would you say that, and Smith, brother, after hearing that, brother, that is a damning um, indictment on how the Western America treats black men. Let's keep it real, bro. The fact that
Well,
in America, sorry, brother, sorry, in America, that it's your race first before your behavior. But in Germany, it's your behavior first before your race, brother.
right.
And that's how it
Yeah,
should be.
that's
It's
what it
how
is.
you behave is how you should get treated, bro. But in America, they say you're black, he's a problem. Let's keep it real, bro. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it
Well,
facts.
I will say this: there is a caveat. I also experienced that. Well, to them, meaning the Germans, I was clearly American. I'm guessing it's the way I carried myself, possibly the way I dressed as well. But I did notice that if there were brothers there and they were, let's say, Nigerian or from Ghana, sometimes that was a bit of a problem. Like sometimes they wouldn't get treated as well as myself or someone that's Caucasian visiting their country or on a tourist visa or on a visa to live there. Because there were certain instances where I would go to particular places and they would say, hold on. And let's say it was a club, they might not want to let me in. And I would say to them, oh, do you need to see ID? Oh, you're American? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Like I would see that kind of thing happening. Yeah. But if you were from the UK, Canada, Australia, or whatever, and you happen to be of African descent, and they picked up on it, they wouldn't test you on it. But I think, sorry to say so, but Americans have been there since the war, and they never left. So they're used to seeing Americans. They're used to seeing, in particular, Black Americans. So I think that's why you get somewhat of a better treatment, but that's typical of anywhere you go in the world as an American for the most part. You know, like if you go to the Emirates or what have you, yeah, you're going to get different treatment based on the nation that you're from. So I couldn't call it across the board. That's why I always say, in my experience, I'm not going to call it across the board for everyone, no matter where you're from. But if you happen to be of African descent and from the United States, and it's clear, then yeah, you would get much better treatment than someone from Ghana, Nigeria, or what have you. Unless
Interesting,
you had
bro.
unless you had a lot of money. I mean, if you had money and you can see that you have money, or you're a man of wealth, or at least you're doing well, or you own a business, then all that goes away. But if you're just a regular person, average every day, working class, or what have you, there, then it's a little different.
Brothers, can we get the likes up, please, on the stream? Please hit the like button. Likes are very important. Show some support by please pressing the like button. That would be greatly appreciated. Please hit the like button. So, brother, are you telling me that in Germany, um, you know, Americans have American privilege? Is that what you're saying, brother? There's something called American
Um,
privilege in Germany.
if that's what you want to call it, I mean, it depends on how you define privilege. And what I mean specifically is, oh, you're from the States, so people from the States get a certain treatment minimum. Like, so if that's what you mean by privilege, then yes. But again, that also holds true for Canadians, Australians, um, guys from the UK. Like if you're from the UK, I'm assuming from the accent.
Yeah.
For someone like you, yeah, it would be, oh, you're from England, okay, you know. But if they thought you were not, like I said, if they thought you were from directly from Africa, it could be a little different, unless unless you're somewhat wealthy, or unless you're upper middle class or what have you, and you look the part. You know, I mean, they're not going to mistreat a Nigerian in a three-piece suit with a Rolex. That's not going to happen. But if you're in jeans and a t-shirt, and and you look regular, so to speak, then yeah, your treatment might be a little different.
Brother, let me go further here, right? Would you say that uh, black men, black American men specifically, brother,
Mhm.
experience black American privilege in Germany? Black American privilege. But hold on, brother. It's something that I saw myself in Germany. So obviously I'm from the UK, right?
Mhm.
But they treat me very well. But when I was in Germany, I saw black American men get treated exceptionally well, a lot more than English black dudes. From what I saw in Germany, if you are an American black man, you're basically a god, a king over there. From what I saw, brother. So, but would you say in Germany, right, black American men have black American? Sorry. Let me rephrase that, brother. Would you say in Germany, black American men experience black American privilege in Germany, brother?
I guess you could say that to a certain degree, yes. But the question then becomes why. And in my opinion, personally, it was because, like I said, I was there mid '90s on, and that's when, let's say, Black American culture, for the lack of a better term, was extremely popular. Soul, R&B, hip hop, and all of that. That was extremely popular at the time. Um, their video music channels constantly played hip hop and R&B. If you went to the clubs, the hottest clubs played hip hop and R&B, particularly from the East Coast, Northeast Coast to be specific, like New York, Jersey, Philly. That's the music I heard. So it was kind of strange that I went from living in New Jersey, then moving to Philly, then going to Germany, and they were still playing the same music I was accustomed to hearing in the club and in bars. So that was a little strange. But I think that adds to the privilege and the mystique, because we got the best marketing, I guess. We had really good marketing back then. We'll say it like that.
And you know what, brother, right? Did you also experience this in Germany, right? Where a German woman would just stare at you for a long time, bro. It happened to me. And when I spoke to another black man in Germany in my time, he was telling me that when German women stare at you for a very long time and their eyes are intensely looking at you, they're trying to figure out that if you are black American or African. Did you experience that as well, brother, in Germany?
Um, what I experienced specifically was, well, first of all, can you define a long time? Is that 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute?
But I'd say like multiple seconds, like 20 seconds, 10 seconds, proper staring at you,
Okay.
but like intensively, like thinking about your appearance, who are you, Did you experience that, brother?
What I experienced was if they stared for 10 seconds or maybe a little more, they came over and approached you if they were interested. You didn't have to ask or say anything or do anything. If they were looking at you intensely and it was more than 10 to 15 seconds, then the next thing that would happen is they'd come over and approach you and talk to you. You wouldn't have to go to them. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. I mean, but I've had that with women from multiple cultures. Like, yeah, I'll leave it at that. I don't want to get too involved, but yeah, from different cultures, you'll get that, because as soon as you leave in my experience, as soon as you leave the U.S., then the game kind of reverses. So let's take this for example. Like typically in the States, you would look at a girl, talk to her, buy her a drink, possibly. And when I got to Europe, it was opposite. If they were interested in you, they would look at you, possibly buy you a drink, ask you to dance, unless you ask them first. There has been cases where I've cold approached and been successful and unsuccessful, but for the most part, overall, how could I say it without sounding arrogant? I don't think anybody should have I'll put it this way. I don't think anybody should have a problem finding a girlfriend or finding someone to date in Europe if you take care of yourself, if you're respectful, humble, you look halfway decent. Because I'm an average guy at best, I'll say it. But over there, I had it much better than I did in the U.S. I did okay in the U.S. Don't get me wrong. I did what the average guy would possibly do back then. It's much worse for younger guys now. Back then, yeah, you could talk to them. Everybody wasn't as sensitive. You didn't have all that political correctness when I was coming up. There were certain rules and guidelines, but that was it. But, you had a pretty good chance of getting a decent girlfriend as opposed to what it's like now, in my opinion. But in Europe, you stand there. You want to talk to them, talk to them. They talk to you, they're doing it with a purpose. There's a purpose in mind. And it's direct, no games. Hey, what are you doing? I like you. I want to take you out. And that for me, that was a shock. When I experienced that, it was a real shock, because I didn't stay with the girl that I came there with for too long. Maybe like 2-3 years, and that was it. And then when I was on my own and I started going out and I started dating, I was just like, it was just really overwhelming. That's what it was.
Because it's about go on.
Yeah, because you go out. It doesn't make a difference where you go. If they like you, they'll talk to you. So I had a nice little car, but instead of taking the car, I would take the train to work, because on the way to work, I can talk to a couple of girls on the train. Hell, I could have a beer, because you can drink in public, even in the morning, evening, on the train and bus. No problem. No, I want to have a beer before I go to work. It's just one. Smoke a cigarette. You can do what you need to do before you get there. But ultimately, there were attractive women on the train, and attractive women are common in Germany, but not just women that are Caucasian. You have several different groups that are represented there, and one better than the next. So it was kind of like take your choice, and you had to have a little bit of a sense about it, because not everybody has the same culture. So let's say the person could be from the Middle East, doesn't mean that they're necessarily Muslim, because they could very well be Christian, but Middle Eastern culture comes into play, so you can't really cold approach them. Or if she's Turkish and in Germany, for example, Turkish men don't particularly care for that. So you could have a problem, especially if she has brothers, or especially if she's of a certain background within that culture, because if they shame the family, you got a problem on your hands, and so does she. But with the European women and the women from, let's say, Western Africa and so on, and the ones that were mixed, because there's a lot of mixing going on as well. Just talk to them, be straightforward, be honest, be yourself. And like I said, if you take care of yourself somewhat, you shouldn't have a problem. I didn't know anybody that had a problem dating there. That was American, black or white. I'll say that. Not one. So
Damn.
Yeah, it's just what it is. They're just more open. And free. It's without the games. Don't get me wrong. You can find a bad apple. That's not a problem. But typically, in my personal opinion, they understood there that if you're someone who's considered select or exotic or desirable, you're not going to have a problem finding a woman. So if you have problems with one, there was no arguing and fighting and all that craziness. You go, oh, you know what? I'll see you. Within a day or two or within a week, oh, here we go. We're good. Or you play the field for a while until you get bored. And then when you find somebody that you really care for and that you want to settle down with, then you settle down. But it wasn't an issue, and not like it is here in the U.S.
So let me ask you, right? So 10 years in Germany, where would you say were your favorite cities, brother? In Germany.
Oh, that's a tough question. I
And
love
why?
Cologne. That was the first city I lived in. I loved Cologne. Because, like I said, they had the TV stations. They had them every year. They had a music festival with international acts. I was close to the Dutch border, so that was really, really good. And I was close to the Belgian border, so that was really nice. I loved Heidelberg. That was more or less a university town. I'll say that. More laid back. They had mountains, they had a castle, they had a river. It was just, in terms of landscape, it was beautiful. Um, Although you did have U.S. military there as well, so there were Americans there, so you kind of got the best of both worlds. Um, Munich, I think it would be another city that I liked a lot. Frankfurt was okay, but it wasn't my favorite. But yeah, Cologne, and Cologne, and Heidelberg were about my favorite cities to be in.
Amazing, bro. Amazing. So, brother, tell me the bad about Germany in your time there. If there was any bad sort of your situations or things you didn't like about Germany, break that for you, bro.
I mean, I did see once I was on the train, like a streetcar with neo Nazis,
Mm.
and it was during like early evening. Um, I looked at them, they looked at me. We just kind of stared at each other for a while because I'm thinking, okay, I might get attacked. Um, Let me position myself so I could either have a clear path to fight or have a clear path to flee, and preferably both. And it was just uncomfortable, but they didn't really do anything. And another time, I mean, the other issues that I had was just people that were drunk and sloppy, you know, maybe in bars or clubs, because you do get a lot of that, because they drink a lot in Europe in a general sense, not just Germany, but pretty much everywhere I went in Europe, they drank a lot of alcohol. People get drunk, they get a little out of hand, or they get sloppy, or or they're spilling something on you, or what have you. But I think that's something that you would experience anywhere, including here.
Awesome, awesome, bro. Awesome. So let me read the super chats, brother. I definitely want to go on to the woman part.
Hmm.
Give me a second, please, bro. Shout out to Mr. D. Thompson for the support. Appreciate you, D. Thompson. I briefly interacted with Afghan women in 2021 during the Afghan evacuation crisis. I was deployed to Qatar, and we housed over 30,000 Afghan refugees. D. Thompson, can you send me a DM on IG, bro? D. Thompson, are you still here in the building? Let me know, please. D. Thompson, are you still here in the building, brother? We got to do a stream about Qatar, and of course how Afghan women treat you as a black man. Afghan women checking for brothers, D. Thompson. Hit me up, brother. Let me know, please. D. Thompson, hit me up on IG, brother, please. Are you still here, D. Thompson? Press on one in the live stream chat if you're still here for me, D. Thompson. Okay. Shout out to Mr. Will Page for the support. Showing love to the soul. Shout out to Will Page for the support. Brothers, if you are enjoying the stream so far, hit the super chat. Hit the super chat. Show the channel some love, man. Hit the super chat, donate. Join the Patreon, hit the PayPal. I'm out here streaming at 11:39 a.m. in the morning, right? For almost 10 years now on this channel. Was it 8 years now? Getting brothers out there. So please support what I do. Join the Patreon, hit the PayPal, hit the super chats, but at least join the Patreon because I'm giving you stocks, crypto, travel intel for you brothers, man. And Python course coming soon, right? And wait until what me and Theo got prepared for the Passport Bro show next this coming Monday. We are here changing lives for black men, bro. So please support me and support what we're doing. Okay, that'd be greatly appreciated. And also hit the like button to support the stream. Thank you very much. Okay, awesome. So let's get straight to it, brothers. Okay, domestic foreigner. Okay, Um, I'm gonna ask you, brother, a very important question,
Mhm.
Mr. Foreigner, brother. Okay, I say, brother, this question I'm gonna ask you right now is probably the most important question in the history of mankind, bro. Okay, this question here, brother, is a question so well known that even aliens in outer space are aware of the question, bro.
I think I
Big,
am too.
big head, gray-eyed aliens are aware of this question, bro. It's just so it's a question that transcends the wind through throughout outside the Earth in space. It transcends different galaxies, brother. Okay, and planets, right?
Hmm.
A question so powerful, brother. Okay, it can cause tsunamis and volcanic eruptions, brother, and earthquakes, brother. Brother, a question so powerful, brother. It can stop a meteorite from destroying planet Earth, brother. And a question so powerful, brother. It can turn water into wine and wine into water, brother. Okay, brother. A question that's really so powerful, potent, and pure. It can actually, brother, bring someone from dead to life, brother. Right? It can actually
Hmm.
revive a dead person into being alive, brother. Okay. The question is, brother, for you is that are the white ethnic German women during your time in Germany, brother, checking heavy for black men and passport bros, my brother? Break it out for me, brother.
Uh, my answer would have to be yes. Um, yeah, yeah. Like regardless of the city I was in, regardless of the state I was in that country, um, it's not a guarantee that you're going to be successful first time out and immediately. But if you spend any amount of time in that particular city or place, you're not going to have a problem finding. I mean, that's pretty much if you ask any military guy that's been stationed there, they'll pretty much tell you the same thing. Like, you're not going to have a problem no matter where you are. They are checking pretty heavy for brothers, I have to say. Um, and if somebody average like myself, could do well. That's an indication that they're checking pretty heavy for brothers.
Damn, so brother, why do white German women love black men so much, brother? What was it that you observed that made them love
I
brothers?
That's a tough one. I really never. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I never really could grasp that part of it. I think it has to. If I had to guess, it would have a lot to do with culture. Um, American culture was cool, and if a brother sees somebody he's interested in, the way that he goes about it, you know, if they're a decent person, they enjoy that part of it. But other than that, I really can't say too much. Like it's just always I think it's pretty much common knowledge that they check heavy for brothers over there. You know.
So, brother, out of all the races in Germany, right? Which one saw you the most love there in your time in Germany? And no, and to answer that question, brother, right? Did you only just date white German chicks, or did you date Asian women out there, Pakistani
No,
chicks? Break it down for me.
I went across the board. I went across as much as the board as I can get across. So if Iranian, Algerian, Tunisian, Russian, Thai, French, Belgium, Dutch. I mean, I was there for actually, you keep saying 10, but it was actually 12 years that I was there. So it kind of went through phases, as you got to know certain cultures and certain types of people. If they had an open culture like that, then, and it was acceptable, why not? Then you go in and you take your shot, so to speak. Um, so I was all over the place, literally all over the place when it came to that. And again, it wasn't extremely difficult to find somebody that you wanted to spend time with or date or what have you. It's relatively easy. But I don't, like I said, but I don't think it's too difficult for anybody that's American or from the UK or what have you. So, like I said, they check heavy for brothers and all that. and but it goes across or well beyond Europeans. You know,
Okay. So, brother, so what was your favorite, right, group of women there in Germany? Was it the white women? Was it the Iranian women? What was your favorite group of women there, brother?
um, I kind of preferred uh, Middle East, North Africa, regardless of religious background. That was my preference toward the end because, don't get me wrong, the European women and the German, they were all feminine. Don't get me wrong, but it's just something about the culture. I think with the women from North Africa and the Middle East that kind of drew me towards them and was a little bit more familiar, made me feel a little bit more comfortable, and as well as West African. But here's the funny thing, though. What kind of shocked me was that um, the black women from various countries, if they were in Germany, and again, like myself, let's say they were average or above average, they would not stay single long. I'm just gonna say it to you like that. They would snatch them up because I would see, like, I had a barber, and the barber worked in like a place where they did male and female hair, and they were Nigerian. And I would see some of the girls come through there, and if they were new, it took a week or two, and they had a steady boyfriend, and that was that. Or and maybe 6 months later, they were married, or they had a steady, stable relationship, and they weren't dating around. Almost, it seems like after they landed, it was crazy. So the most difficult one to get would be your own. Straightforward. Yeah, yeah, because they snatch them up quick. I mean, I used to joke around with people. I'm like, these girls, especially coming out of Nigeria or Ghana, if like I said, if they were attractive and nice women and everything like that, which they were in comparison to the others, they wouldn't last long on the dating scene at all. And German dudes would run at them. Men from other European countries run at them. But everybody's running at them to see you can get to them first, and they usually wind up settling down and relaxing for at least a minute or two. But that was what I found kind of crazy when I was there, because there was a few I was in pursuit of, and by the time I got there, happened once, happened twice, happened three times. I was like, what is going on here? I'm like, what? The person just got here 2 weeks ago. Now they got a boyfriend. What the hell? But they were pretty much the hardest ones to get.
So, but you're telling me the white German dudes were just snatching up the African chicks?
Yeah, well, it would be German or anybody or any other group that was there, that the women were, attracted to. If they found that they weren't, don't get me wrong, most of them, I would dare say, once they got married, if a lot of them came married, right? Don't get me wrong, but the ones that came single, they were getting attacked from all sides. They were getting offers from all sides of other brothers from various countries, brothers from the Middle East, people, Europeans, you know. But they wouldn't like I said, but they wouldn't stay single for long. And they usually ended with a guy for a year or more, or a couple of years. They got married, and that was it. But they were amongst the hardest to get for some reason.
That's insane, bro.
Yeah.
That is
That's why when
insane.
I'm hearing about in the States, and I don't want to get too much into detail because it's a sensitive subject, but what I hear about the current situation in the States and the women there, it's kind of crazy because, like I said, a lot of these, I mean, they're not just male soldiers in Germany. There's female soldiers there too. And like I said, if they're somewhat attractive and they take care of themselves and they're nice, they're getting offers left and right, just like the dudes would, you know. But if they weren't like that, nobody would bother with them. But the decent ones, the good ones, they pretty much had their pick of the litter, pretty much like the guys did.
Damn, I think it's interesting just to observe the history of love from these women, bro. From
Mm-hmm.
then up until now, and there's always a backstory to it. This is it's not something that's quick and simultaneous. A country just can't start loving black men tomorrow. Like there's obviously some sort
No.
of precursor to it. So Germany in the 90s, the hip hop scene helped, the media helped around
Mm-hmm.
that time. I know the 90s hip hop scene, Wu Tang Clan, Nas, Biggie, Pac. quite big out there. They had the movies out there, Jackie Brown, if I remember very clearly. So that export there, interesting, bro. And they had the
But you
military
have
bases
to
there. Go on, bro.
no, but you have to also understand that black men from the U.S., there were a lot of them there during the war.
Mm,
So the first and the second. So I think there's and we're talking what early 1900s, with 1918 or in and around that time, and then later on in 44 and 45, let's say, and they never left. We still have U.S. military bases there.
mm.
So black Americans, is just as well as white American soldiers, have been a permanent fixture there for how long? Since 45. So there's a familiarity of that comes into play as well, especially for those that live around a U.S. military base. It's normal to see black Americans. It's no big deal. Like, so if you're in any of the given bases that have been there for some length of time, and understand that some of the bases were initially Germans, and after the Americans took over, some of them became U.S. bases. So they had Americans there for a long, long time. Two world wars, after the first and then after the second. So it's familiar. People leave, and get married, and leave and go back to the U.S. Some of them get married in Germany and stay. Um, but everybody, like I said, the U.S. military community, they could give you a lot of insight to that as well. And not everybody likes it either. It's not a given that you're going to actually like the culture and want to stay there, and be able to, to move freely and be comfortable. Because I knew some people that didn't like it. They didn't like it. They didn't want to stay. They looked at me crazy, like, how can you stay here for this long? Or why are you even here? And we don't like it. And I'm like, well, I speak the language, so there's no barriers for me. Whereas if you don't speak the language, it's a clear barrier or impediment to you meeting people that might not speak English, or might not speak it well, or in some cases speak it, but because they can't speak at a certain level, they're embarrassed and don't want to speak it at all. So yeah, it depends
Damn.
on who you are and what you're into.
So, brother, 12 years in Germany is a long time. I'm
Yes, sir.
wondering why you left. So before I answer that question, about, I'm thinking an American Keisha went to Germany and took you back to America. Or, why did you leave,
No,
brother? It was so off you.
I'll say this. Like I said in the very beginning, when I got there, it was 5 years. No, I take that. When I first got there, it was pretty rough. I didn't leave and come to the States until after the first 5 years. I ultimately left towards the end because there's only so many weddings and funerals and birthday parties you're going to miss before it becomes to be a little bit too much. So, my parents are getting up there in age. I'm pretty old myself. I said, it's time to, it's time to come back. Because, like I said, this person dies, this person gets married, this person has a kid, you miss everything. And in
Mm.
the beginning, it didn't bother me, but so much, because I always said to myself, I'll go back next year and do this and do that. But when you look up and it's 8 years or 10 years and you only been home to visit twice, yeah, then it comes with too much. Now, am I happy that I made that decision? No. There's still days I wake up and say, I wish I would have never left, especially now,
Damn.
especially given the social climate, political climate within the U.S. Yeah, big mistake.
Damn.
I should have put myself in a position where I could come back 2 to 3 times a year, and maybe that would have been okay. And then kind of coast really close family members to come over to visit me, and I think I would have been okay. But I would have been much better off there than I am here, to be honest. And it's sad to say.
But I'll keep it real with you, brother, right? Do you think that black men in the black community, right, are too, and I think someone mentioned this, right? Black men are too, you know, they, what's the word for it? I'm trying to think here. Uh, they they love family too much, right? Particularly close family members. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, right? But it
Mhm.
comes to a point where that love can impact, your life.
Yeah.
So, for example, right, we're currently seeing. I think we spoke about the black tax. We're seeing that brothers are have such a close connection to their parents that they can't leave it. They don't want to leave. They love their dad and their mom, and that's okay. You know, I love my parents as well, right? But how about your life? You know for a fact that you can't get a wife in America and in the UK. You know for a fact that the cultural climate here is trash. You know for a fact
But
that the women are terrible. But hold on, bro. But dudes, right, will still stay here because of family. So, brother, do you feel like black men just gotta say F it? I love you, dad. I love you, mum. But I got my life to live. I want to be happy, and I'm leaving the country. Is that was that your is that
well,
what brother?
well, let me address one of the things you said. I think you can. It is possible to get a wife here in the United States and find a good wife. Is it probable? That's depends on who you are and what you have and what your income level is, and you got all these factors. So it's becoming increasingly more difficult. You can do it here, becoming increasingly more difficult, and you would have more than likely a much better time going through that process in another country. I hate to say it because of the difference. And I'm not saying that women are bad, and I'm not saying that America's bad. I'm saying that, you know, the cultural norms, or I should say the norms, because I mean, what do we have in terms of culture, really? What do you have in terms of culture? What's American culture clearly defined? And that's one of the other things that kind of drew me to Germany. Um, they have a clearly defined culture, and they let you know up front in Germany, hey, this is how we do things. These are our laws. These are our cultural norms. This is our language. You're going to learn about all of them and abide by them to a certain degree, because we're not going to give you much leeway, and we're not going to be too tolerant. And I like that part of it, and I like any country that's like that, because it's clearly defined rules that you can follow, with some deviation, of course, and with some exceptions. But it's easier when things are organized and clearly defined. Now, in terms of brothers wanting to leave because they love their family too much, that's going to go from person to person. I mean, you look at it here in New Jersey. You don't like New Jersey, and you decide, hey, I want to move to Florida. If you're physically not there, I'm in New Jersey. I want to fly to California. That's going to be what, 5.5, 6 hours? Well, it's 5.5, 6 hours from JFK to Frankfurt. So it really comes down to the relationship you have with your family and your dependence on them, I would say, emotionally, and whether or not you can withstand being away from them and fighting homesickness and missing milestones in people's lives that you love. If you're able to do that, you're not going to have a problem. If that's an issue for you, you're not even going to move out of your state, let alone the country.
Facts, bro. I know, absolute facts, absolute facts. And I think brothers gonna make that tough choice. Happiness or staying in this society in the West where your family is there, but you're not happy. And I think black men should choose happiness. I think because you only have
Yeah,
one life, man. You only have one
yeah,
life. You can't relive it. You can't come back to life. Once you're dead, you're dead. You know.
yeah.
Um,
Uh,
that's how life is. Come on, bro.
Yeah, but I would dare say, I mean, I saw a lot of that with military personnel, because, some of them expect to stay in the U.S. and then they wind up overseas. And then, it's natural to be homesick, but I think it comes down to your personal experience and your relationship with people. Because I've seen people, they don't want to be around family anyway, so it's not going to mean anything to them. Or they don't have too much family left, and they're not too close to them. They're gone. They're out. Now, me, I was very close to my family. Um, it was I did not like being away from them, but I didn't have the time nor the, how could I say it? I didn't feel as though I had the time or the luxury of getting homesick or missing somebody to the point where it would affect my work performance. And it was also a pride thing. I didn't want to look weak and go back because I couldn't take it, you know, and look like a
Mm.
failure. I think that was a factor as well. And then when you mix that with the fact that I was kind of bitter because when I did get out to venture more socially and I was, single, um, I realized, hell, this is nicer than home. wait a minute, the trains run and they apologize for being a minute or 2 minute late over the loudspeaker. You know, their infrastructure is fantastic, to say the least. You know, I can get on an ICE, like an inner city express train, and hit each major city in the country, and then regional trains that'll hit each region, and then it was crazy. Autobahn is fantastic. Um, I didn't miss being in the States, other than family, and that, like I said, that was truly overwhelming. Being somewhere where not only were you safe, you can get around easily. Cost of living is a different question, because the taxes are high. When I was there, I think the value added tax was like 19%. So it can get a little expensive. And typically the Germans only get paid once a month. And the taxes on cigarettes, alcohol, and let's say gasoline are much higher than they are here in the US. So yeah, but in terms of family, I mean, to each his own, and some people can take it and some people can't. I mean, it depends on how you're raised. I was pretty much raised by my parents to be independent, nose to the grindstone, just work, complain all you want, just get it done. But like I said, if you're dependent and you got to see mommy, or you got to see daddy, or what have you, or your cousins, and you can't go without them, yeah, you're not going to go anywhere. You go on vacation, and that's where it's going to stop. Now, if you're talking straight living overseas, yeah, you have to be a special. I'm not saying I shouldn't say special. You have to be pretty disciplined and determined, because, like I said, I was pretty much on my own. I had no blood relatives in the country in which I was living, and the closest person was a 6-hour flight away. So, but I trusted the person I was with. I got to know the landscape, the lay of the land. After a couple of years, spoke the language really well. And that's what helped me a great deal, on top of being stubborn and having pride. That combination kind of helped me out a lot. And as the longer I was there, the more positive my experiences actually became, because I was open to different, cultures within the country. I was open to traveling. I was open to trying different foods and different types of drinks. I knew Turkish. I mean, I knew people like Turkish people, people from Spain, everywhere. You all kind of mixed up, especially if you're in an international city like Cologne or Munich. You get to meet people from all over the world. It's not just, the Germans aren't a monolith. And like I said in the beginning of the show, it's multicultural there. It's just a different mix than here.
Damn. So, brother, tell me more about the Turkish woman there. Did you date one, or was there family issues where men?
A couple, but you really have to be careful. You really have to be careful. But I found out very early on about Middle Eastern culture, and even down to the particular countries. Now, with Turkish women in particular, you have to be very careful, because the families aren't very tolerant of them dating in a lot of instances, especially someone that's not of their same background. That could be a problem, and that's whether you're black, white, or other. You're not Turkish, and if you are Turkish, then you should have met the father first before you went out with her, or at least got an okay from the brothers, or at least asked and say, if she does like me, can I ask her out? Because if not, you got a problem. Wonderful girls, wonderful women. I mean, and if you do actually date one, I'm quite sure, you're going to find what you're looking for in terms of femininity, and in terms of them being family oriented and so on. And the food is fantastic, by the way. But but you have to watch out for the family. Watch out. Now, the rule that I always followed is, if she approaches me and I didn't initiate, then that's on her, not me. Now, you both might suffer, but usually if because I did get into a situation where, a girl approached me, and then later on a friend of the family was like, hey, what are you doing? And it got kind of tense for a minute. And I said, hold on. You said, well, you were obviously watching. So then you saw her approach me. So who's wrong? Me or her? I don't know who she's with. I don't know what her background is. She could be from Spain. She could be from North Africa. She could be Turkish. I don't know. So it's not like I'm disrespecting the culture if I don't know her background. And that's when I started to realize, oh, okay, Let them approach you. Yeah, you can look. Yeah, you can nod, smile, and if they, decide to come and talk to you, then that's pretty much on them. And if anybody's in the if anybody's in the chat that says otherwise, please let me know because I'd like to know your experience because it's been some time since I've been in Germany. But when I was there, that's how it was with Turkish women. Very nice, very hospitable, respectful. But you got to watch out because their family might not play that, the neighborhood might not play that, and you could get hurt.
Damn.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's about family honor. It's about family honor, essentially.
is it because that culture, Turkish culture, Turkish men don't like black
No,
men
no, no,
dating?
no, 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 no. I mean, maybe they don't, but anyone would have that. A German guy would have the same problem. A Russian guy would have the same problem. Because from my experience, the men typically don't like men outside of their culture dating their women. Flat out. I mean, my experience from the places I was in, and I knew quite a few Turkish people. I was constantly in Turkish restaurants because I love the food, and and I had my experience dating a few, and a pretty tense experience trying to date, well, attempting to date one, But again, I got over because she approached me. I didn't say anything to her. Came right over to me. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how are you doing? Okay. And then all of a sudden, bang. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? So, but it's not, I mean, race is not the issue in that case. Now, when it comes down to marriage and going to the next level within a relationship, that I wouldn't know, but I was hanging with a lot of Turkish guys at one point. And going to the clubs with them and, partying and drinking and in some of the spots because they typically have restaurants that are also like clubs. It's like typically a restaurant / bar with a dance floor. And you go to places like that and you kind of see and experience the culture firsthand. And yeah, you learn pretty quick if you're smart and you like to observe.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. Okay, brother. So let's open up the phone lines, brother. If any questions for you, brother, how does that sound?
That sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay. So, brothers, call in if you have any questions for our guests. If you can't call in, hit your questions in a super chat or PayPal donation. This has been a great stream so far. Very interesting to hear the insight about Germany back then. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So, calling brothers, the link is now pinned on the live stream chat. So, call in. Let me just get the link over here. Call in, man. Call in. What you waiting for, brothers? Call in. So, let me ask you something, brother. Was there a long-term relationship you had in your time there that you're about to marry a chick? During that time in Germany, was there someone, a special someone that you really loved?
There was a special someone I decided to marry a couple of times. I don't want to get too into it, but yeah, I really wanted to settle down, but I made two fatal errors. To be perfectly frank, I should have kept a job that kept me in one spot at one time, instead of contracting and being here and there and jumping around and being gone from 3 to 6 months at a time. Yeah. And the other fatal error was, you get married when you're older. Especially, I would dare say, especially in Europe or somewhere where there's an extremely high amount of available, attractive women, because there's a lot of, how can I say it? There's a lot of pressure on you when you live there. You could be with a woman and you love her, and you're going to see women that look absolutely gorgeous from various backgrounds, and you could get into a situation where they look at you and they just take your hand and say, hey, take me out, or hey, I like you, or here's my number, or hi, how are you? And they're flirting with you. And that can only happen so many times as a man from the US before you say, you know what? Why don't I just take the offer? Um, yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but if you're older and you're more settled in, and you're not running around from country to country and using Germany as a home base, yeah, that's yeah. So there was a few. There was
Were they all white?
no, no. The one was German, and one was Iranian. Yeah, but Christian, not Muslim. Just to be
You
specific.
you okay? You're Muslim?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
But the Iranian woman that I did marry was Christian, not Muslim.
interesting. Okay,
Although I will say, amongst the family friends, they were people that were Christian, Muslim, and God knows what else. Because for some reason, with that group outside of the country, outside of their own country, apparently, they intermingle and no problem, particularly in Germany. Because when I first started to see Iranian women, I thought they had different features, and sometimes they looked like it could be South American. So I'm looking at these women and I'm going, where are they from? And I would frequent a club on a weekly basis, and I kept seeing these one group of girls. And I'm like, where are they? They're super attractive. I'm like, but where are they from? I can't place it. It could be Spain, maybe North Africa, maybe Middle East. I just don't know. And when I finally went up to speak to them, they said, "Oh, we're from Iran." And then I went to another city, and I pretty much had the same experience. And I said, "You know what? Next time I bump into women that look like this or from this region, I'm going to actually see what it's about." And I did, and it sucked me right in. So I was like, "Whoa, let me put the brakes on. Let me slow down. Let me, you slow yourself down in that regard." And again, a wonderful culture. And like I said, outside of Germany, they intermingle with one another, regardless of religious background. At least in my personal experience with people from that country originally, and they pretty much felt brothers as well.
so brother, let me ask this right. So what was the best thing about dating an Iranian woman, brother, in flipping Germany?
Germany, to be honest with you, family. She had a really nice family, a really welcoming and open family. And they stuck together, and there were relatives everywhere because they have correct me if I'm wrong, diaspora, because of the wars they've had over the years and the tensions in the region. So people have been fleeing there since 1979. And there was the initial city that I lived in of Cologne. There were a lot of Iranians there. I had no idea. It's Iranian restaurants, businesses, taxi services, tax offices. They do taxes, and they had everything. I mean, doctors, lawyers, the whole nine yards. Same thing with the Turkish folks. Same thing in terms of profession. But again, I really liked the food. I was treated really well. One is prettier than the next, at least from what I saw, and they were very warm and welcoming people, and they like to party. But the thing with them that impressed me was that they party with the whole family. So just like I said with the Turkish places where they would have like a bar, like restaurant, and then have a dance floor, Iranians was the same thing. But you would see the grandmother and father, their kids, and their grandkids all in the same place, all dancing, all having fun. Yeah, until the middle of the night. And and like I said, everybody was very friendly, warm, and respectful. And very formal, I should say, because back then it would be typical for you to be out on the dance floor, and an older woman with a younger woman would approach you and say, "Hi, how are you? My name is so and so. This is my daughter. If you would like to dance with her, that means be respectful. The daughter might be interested in you, but it's pretty much." I think it pretty much pertains to being serious in a relationship and eventually getting married. So, yeah, so that I enjoyed that very much. I mean, but again, a lot of times, like I said, you let them approach you, because when I would go out, let's say when I was working with the military, and I would go out with the military dudes, and we would see attractive Iranian women or Turkish women. The immediate thought was that um, it's very dangerous and you might get stabbed and the family might attack you. But again, the rule is let them approach you, let them show you that they want to talk to you and act on it. And you should be okay. It could still go wrong, but your chances of coming out unscathed are much higher if you do it in that way.
Awesome. Awesome, bro. So wow. Okay, so no callers, no callers. No callers. Okay. Okay. So brother, y'all gonna call in or no? You ain't gonna call in. I'm gonna give you 5 more minutes to call in or to what's it called? Or to yeah, or hear your questions in the super chat or PayPal donation. Okay, so wow. This has been a great stream so far, Mr. Foreigner. Doesn't appear there'll be any callers today. So, brother, do you have any closing questions or statements, brother?
I would just say it's definitely worth traveling. It's definitely worth going out and experiencing for yourself, so you're not getting secondhand information or being misinformed. Um, Before you travel anywhere, get intel. You know, with the internet available, with all sorts of information on there, and chat groups that give recommendations and suggestions, definitely utilize those tools and talk to as many people as you can who've actually been to the country that you want to travel to. Because a lot of times we hear people saying, "Hey, where are you going? Oh, that's dangerous. You don't want to go there." Well, if you ask them, have they ever been there? More than likely, they're going to tell you no. If you ask them if they know anybody from that country or do they know anything about the culture, more than likely, they're not going to know anything. So don't listen to those people. Listen to the people with firsthand experience and do your own research and travel as much as you can. And then maybe you'll find a place where you want to stay, or maybe you'll have a greater appreciation for your home country.
Awesome. Thank you, bro.
All righty.
Thank you, brother. Awesome. So, brothers, great stream. Again, join the Patreon for intel on stocks and crypto. Join the Patreon right now. The Patreon is amazing. I'll post a link to it in the chat right now. Join the Patreon. Book your IT consultations in regards to you getting into IT. Python course coming July 2024. So look out for more info on the upcoming Passport Bro show. Once again, thank you to our guest, Mr. Domestic Foreigner, brothers. And brothers, I will see you on the next video. Peace out. Take it easy. Thank you.